Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. A few of you suggested a cool video idea in which I would go over some duels that I would like to see in the upcoming and most likely final season of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, and that is exactly what we will be doing today. Season 3 just kicked off, and it definitely has the potential to shape up to be a really terrific season. We already had a major plot twist with Ai and Robapi's character, and while there are still a lot of unknowns going forward, we can surely speculate what may or may not happen in the show. I mean, that's basically all this channel is anyway, a semi-baseless speculation channel. Also, for this list, while there is an outside chance of characters like the other Ignis coming back and being revived into human-like bodies similarly to Ai, which would be really interesting, I am going to exclude that possibility from my list. I am only going to compile this list of potential must-see duels with the characters that will surely be around. So without further ado, let's begin. Here are 5 duels that I would love to see in Season 3 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. Feel free to leave any duels you'd like to see down below, and I hope you enjoy. Revolver versus Playmaker. Technically, this would be the 5th time these two duelists squared off, although the first and the third duels both ended in draws, which immediately led to the second and fourth duels respectively. So even though these guys have dueled so much, it doesn't feel like it actually has been 4 separate duels, like the Playmaker and Bowman rivalry, for example. Moreover, the last time these two dueled was way back in episode 46, the final duel of Season 1. I know I can't be the only one itching to see the protagonist and rival go back at it. Their duels were some of the most memorable so far in the show, and seeing them duke it out with their upgraded decks and added summoning methods would be an absolute joy. Moreover, Revolver is pretty much the only duelist that has even touched Playmaker's flawless dueling record. Sure, Bowman was able to nick a draw in 4 attempts against him, but half the time Revolver dueled Playmaker, he was able to manage a draw, which in this show is basically equivalent of defeating the main character. In the Season 1 finale loss, Revolver managed to pull off an extra link. He has always dueled Playmaker extremely well, and I still feel like he is one of the only characters in the VRains universe that has an actual chance of handing Playmaker that seemingly not going to happen loss. It would be a real disappointment if these two never dueled outside the first season, and I'm sure we will get our much anticipated rematch between Protag and Rival at some point in the hopefully near future. Up next is Blue Maiden and Akira Zaizen versus Spectre. Removing the Akira part for the time being, the thought of Aoi versus Spectre is a rematch duel I have been heavily advocating for since their first matchup ended. One of my favorite Season 1 duels, Spectre and Aoi Zaizen, who was under her Blue Angel persona, squared off with the threat of the Tower of Hanoi looming. The duel was extremely entertaining, with Spectre pulling off the win. But not only did Spectre win, he humiliated her. Spectre sadistically tore up the book that inspired Aoi to become Blue Angel and set it on fire in front of her very eyes. He then swept her off her feet in his final attack via a whirlwind and had her face plant extremely hard into the concrete before turning her into Data. A little over the top, but Spectre would go on to torment Akira Zaizen during all of this, forcing him to watch his sister turn into Data, and then use him as hostage during the duel he had with Playmaker. Akira ended up sacrificing himself so that Playmaker wasn't handicapped by him, which allowed Playmaker to go on and defeat Spectre once and for all. The hatred and animosity between these three is already present, and in the third opening, we see the Zaizen seemingly tag dueling against an unseen enemy. I would love if this enemy is Spectre. Akira needs a duel, Aoi Zaizen needs a big win, and I believe an incredible retribution win for her would be against Spectre in a rematch. The Knights of Hanoi are in a weird place. Revolver and Spectre don't seem to be present on Team Akira in the 105 preview, but it seems both of these teams have the same common enemy in Ai, so whether they team up or stay split remains to be seen, but if the Knights and Akira's defense squad cross paths at some point, this is a duel that needs to happen, even if it's just a one-on-one duel between Aoi and Spectre. Up next is another Revolver duel, one that would have him squaring off with the final representation of his father's dreadful lost incident, Ai. The prospect of a Revolver versus Ai duel is incredible. While Ai's goals remain a mystery at this point, other than the fact he wants to use Soul Tech for something, Revolver's goals have not wavered at all. The first line of dialogue in the show is Revolver yelling, "Be gone, Cybers." From the very get-go, Revolver and the Knights have made it abundantly clear that they will eliminate all 6 of the Ignis created via Dr. Kogami's lost incident. Revolver reiterated this point to Takeru and Yusaku at the start of this season in episode 103. Well, 5 Ignis have seemingly been eliminated, but there's still one left. And interestingly enough, there might actually be two now, since Revolver technically is AI with free will, much like the Ignis, but that's besides the point for now. Seeing Revolver go face to face with I, especially since I uses a deck that is literally a reference to all of his fallen comrades, and in turn, the very project that Revolver despises, is amazing. The last moment these two shared together was Revolver actually acknowledging I as a character and not just an Ignis, by calling him by his name as opposed to the Dark Ignis tagline he had used the entirety of the show. This moment could even be brought up in the duel, and the dialogue between Revolver and I, a serious and stoic character versus one with a more outgoing and goofy personality, could easily surpass the dialogue in any duel we have seen so far. I'd love to see Revolver get a shot at eliminating the Ignis for good, and I really hope we get to see these two go at it before the show comes to an end. Up next is a duel that I am fairly confident we will get, and that is Soulburner versus Revolver. Geez, this basically became a Revolver video, didn't it? Soulburner and Revolver were all set to duel last season. There was even an in-real-life 1-week break between episodes before this duel happened, so us fans had to patiently wait 2 weeks for this high-octane duel to kick off. Unfortunately, this duel was a bust. Revolver refused to duel as a way to let Soulburner get out all of his anger for confronting the man he thought was responsible for the lost incident, and in turn, getting his parents killed. Soulburner ended up refusing to attack after Revolver passed on his turn, and the duel ended in a no result. Season 3, we need to see an actual duel between these two characters. Ever since Soulburner debuted in Season 2, he has been a high-octane and skilled duelist, and the show has really pushed his character. I think you could easily make the argument that Revolver and Soulburner are maybe tied as the two best duelists in the VRains universe right now, outside of Playmaker. Seldom do we get two huge fan favorites and two really skilled, well-built-up characters duel each other, especially when neither one is a true antagonist. I think this could be the most unpredictable duel of the show, because realistically, I could see either duelist winning. Even though these two vented out their past issues before they temporarily teamed up, Revolver stirred the pot in episode 103, and these two verbally went at it a little bit in that episode. Not only that, but this duel is seemingly foreshadowed in opening 3. This shot shows Soulburner getting fired up against an opponent, and upon closer look, that opponent is clearly Revolver. A desperate Soulburner who lost Flame, having a legit chance to duel the leader of the Knights of Hanoi. Yes, please. The duel was a bust in Season 2, but a Season 3 rematch has the potential to be one of the best duels in VRains. Topping this list, it had to be I versus Playmaker. This is the one duel out of all 5 on this list that I am extremely confident we will get to see. We might even get to see these two duel multiple times throughout this season. What an insane plot twist, man. I, the goofball partner of Playmaker who was by his side through thick and thin, is now seemingly the villain of the show. The same I who Yusaku was starting to consider a good friend. The bonds between these two had grown so much stronger in Season 2, and it seemed like these two could genuinely accomplish anything together. I, the last remaining Ignis of his brethren after all 5 died via Bowman's absorption, has thrown his past self and past life away, and is currently in the process of taking over Soul Tech for unknown reasons. Although I have a feeling those reasons will probably threaten humanity's existence to some degree, since this is Yugioh. The dynamic and friendship between these two had grown on all of us, and now I has thrown all of that away. It's a great quote. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Who knew a freaking Dark Knight Batman quote would sum up this show and I's character so incredibly well? The dialogue between Playmaker and I when they do eventually come face to face is going to be incredible. Yusaku is easily the most preserved and closed off protagonist, and for good reason given his traumatic past. So the thought of him getting visibly angry and saddened at what has happened to I, someone he actually considered his partner, honestly, waiting for this duel is going to be so tantalizing until it actually happens. I also do believe that if this duel happens early enough in the season, I has a legit chance to defeat Playmaker, who will most likely be in a very bad state of mind when these two do duel. I can't wait to learn more about Ai's plans and Yusaku's thoughts on them, and this duel is all but a guarantee to happen. It's not really a question of if, it's more a question of when. And that about wraps it up. That is 5 duels we need to see in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains Season 3, and by we need to see, I really mean duels that I personally would love to see in the upcoming and probably final season of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. Please let me know what you think of the 5 duels I selected, whether you would like them, what you would like to see in them, or let me know some other duels that I did not mention that you would love to see. I love hearing potential fantasy matchups, and again, I did not include the other Ignis, I did not include Queen, because to me those characters are probably out of commission for good. I didn't include Miyu, Jin, or Wendy's partner because I don't know if any of those 3 characters are honestly going to be relevant at all in this season going forward and in this show. But if you guys want to include them, please feel free to. I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this topic. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Samuel Stark, Thomas Adderley, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Vincent Van Der Veen, Brian Ford, and Rexkentrix. And to my Diamond tier patrons Jesse Wood and Garrett Palmer, and to my Egyptian God tier patron Chris Swan. A huge thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. I really do appreciate it. I cannot tell you how much it helps me out and helps out the channel. And a huge thank you to everyone who just watches these videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. I will talk to you all down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.